Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I am back in my car, in my safe zone, and today I just wanted to do a little quick update video because I'm trying to maintain a pretty consistent schedule when it comes to releasing videos. I don't have a set day, so to speak, when it comes to releasing videos, but you know, every once in a while I want to put out a video. So this one is just going to be like an update video. This is not going to really be, I don't have anything going into this video. Literally, as I'm talking to you right now, I have no idea what I want to talk about. The first thing is definitely, if you haven't already, I'll have my links down below. Go check out the podcast because the podcast is now officially Eddie Green's 101. It is no longer Terminator 101. All the Terminator 101 episodes are going to remain there though. So feel free to check those out. But the very first episode of Eddie Green's 101, or I just call it 101, is available right now with my very special guest and good friend, Daisuke Beppu. I'm also going to have his link down below. He is such a great guy, and he came on, and him and I talked for probably an hour and a half, maybe close to around there, on James Cameron. We had a really great discussion about James Cameron, and I had sent him some topics that I wanted to cover with him. We cover best James Cameron film, most unique James Cameron film, the top performance from an actor in a James Cameron film. Is James Cameron overrated? What's his best decade, the 80s or the 90s? Because of course we all know that you really can't count the 2000s because he only had one film technically. He had a couple documentaries in there, but Avatar is that, and that's it. And then the 2010s, the 2010s, James Cameron is totally absent. He hasn't made a single film. He's produced stuff, but he hasn't made a single film in the 2010s. That's crazy. So what's his better decade? That's another thing we talk about. So there's lots of good stuff in that episode. I think you guys would really enjoy. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about. The second thing I wanted to talk about is I'm going to be filming pretty soon here a brand new series, ironically inspired by Daisuke. If you go to Daisuke's channel, one thing you'll notice about him is his videos are very relaxed. You know, he doesn't really even do what I'm doing right now here, hold a camera. You know, his camera's usually very stationary, and he'll just talk for however long he wants to about a film, filmmaker, anything. And it's inspiring. The first thing I wanted to do with this series is I wanted to talk about filmmakers that I adore, that I admire, or that fascinate me, so that I can cover filmmakers that necessarily wouldn't be on lists or in books of the greatest of all time. Okay? Some that I do cover eventually will definitely be found in those books, but some that I cover maybe right off the bat definitely will not be found in those books. The person that I am electing for my inaugural filmmaker in this new series, where I talk about their body of work, is Steve Oedekerk. Now, I talked about him in my Friday the 13th video where I did a movie haul, and I'm going to save most of my comments for those videos, but Steve Oedekerk, like I said, you would not find him in the list of the top 1,000 greatest filmmakers of all time. You wouldn't. Why am I covering Steve Oedekerk? Well, first of all, one of his films, actually two of his films, now that I think about it, I kind of grew up on. So he kind of found his way into my life just at the right time. You know what I mean? So when I think of Steve Oedekerk and when I think of his films, I have a very nostalgic, good feeling. You know, we love that word, right? Nostalgia. It's such a... seems like a death trap of a word, but I think in some instances it's a good word, and I think it applies here. I just feel very nostalgic when it comes to Steve Oedekerk. The other thing is, yeah, I really want to say this, but he's a wacky guy, incredibly wacky. He represents, for me, someone who when he does films that he writes and directs, his films don't abide by any rules when it comes to filmmaking. Steve Odekirk's formula is, he writes comedy. I want to write a funny movie that I find hilarious and that hopefully other people will find funny as well. That's literally what his, motive is. That's what he tries to do. Now, he's only written and directed 4 films. Those are the only ones that he has to his credit. Those would be Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls, Nothing to Lose, Kung Pao, Enter the Fist, and Barnyard. So those are going to be the 4 films in this new series where I talk about filmmakers and their body of work. When it comes to Steve Odekirk, those are the films I'm going to talk about. Steve is mostly a writer. He does a lot of, well, not necessarily anymore now. He hasn't been active in a while, but in the 90s and even in the 2000s, he was writing a lot of scripts. So that's his real specialty, but he is a filmmaker. He is a filmmaker. When I do these videos, there's probably going to be some people out there, a lot of people that think I'm off my rocker. And look, it all comes down to personal tastes. I think his films, the ones I've seen, there's going to be 2 in here that I'm going to be watching for the first time. Nothing to Lose and Barnyard. I haven't seen those before. I've seen arguably the 2 most popular films out of his directorial credits, which are Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls, and Kung Pao, Enter the Fist. That's coming up. I'm so incredibly excited to share it with all of you guys, because I think a reason I want to do this is I really want to highlight people that necessarily wouldn't even be highlighted, okay? Because you can go online and you can find breakdowns of Spielberg and Tarantino and Cameron and Kubrick, and not to say that I won't be covering them. Not to say that I won't be covering them, because I probably will be covering a few of those filmmakers. Really, the only one that I'm not really that big of a fan of, controversial, is Quentin Tarantino. So everyone else, though, that I just listed is pretty much fair game. So, but really, to kick it off, I wanted to start with someone that you would not find highlighted in any kind of video series like this. So in that regard, I think it's pretty special. Also in that regard, I hope you guys tune in and check these out. If you haven't checked out the films, I strongly suggest finding his films, especially Ace Ventura 2, we can call it that, and Kung Pao, Enter the Fist, because I've seen those, and those films are hilarious, yes, and they also just encapsulate a real big part of my childhood and just growing up. I wasn't too young when I saw those movies. They are PG-13, and there's definitely a lot of crude humor in those films. So I was right around that age, when I saw those films, maybe 12, somewhere around there. But they're just wonderful films. They're not masterpieces or anything. If you were to go up to a quote-unquote professional film critic, neither one of those films would be considered a masterpiece. But that's the beautiful part about life. All opinions are subjective, and everything is subjective. I think they're wonderful. I can't wait to talk to you about him and really highlight someone, like I said, that wouldn't necessarily normally be highlighted. Finally, the last thing in this update video, I don't want it to go on too long, is we're going to be coming up here, obviously, on the holidays. We're going to be coming up here on Halloween and all that stuff. And I would like to do some videos and stuff like that. I don't know what exactly I'll be doing. I will, of course, be going to Halloween Horror Nights pretty soon. I do live in Florida, so it's, literally right up the road. So I definitely will be going. I am going with some friends. I don't know if I'm going to be recording. I don't know. I'd like to do a video about that. And then, of course, when it comes to Black Friday and stuff like that, I'd love to do a video with that. But I am going to be collaborating because a good friend of mine, Dave from Durant Cinema is going to be in Florida pretty soon for his vacation. So him and I are going to be hanging out one day and definitely collaborating, making probably at least one video, sort of similar to the way him and I did it 3 years ago when he came down to Florida and we met for the first time. Him and I each made a video and then we put it up on our YouTube channels. So you can definitely go back and check that out. It's in my catalog. So that's what's coming up here in the future. That's what's coming up pretty damn soon. That's what's going on with the podcast. And other than that, guys, I hope you're well. I hope that if you like what I'm doing here, you'll hit the subscribe button. If you're stumbling across this channel for the first time, or if someone has directed you to this channel and you're just kind of on the fence, I hope you'll do it because I love talking about film. So, with this series that I'm going to be rolling out here soon, and then just on videos in general, in the comment section, if you want to leave anything, I try my hardest to respond to, every comment. So that's that, guys. You can find me on all the social media down below, even Letterboxd. My Letterboxd is down below. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time for some more 101.